Welcome to Action Coaching. We're certainly delighted that you join us for another exciting session of Action Coaching. Now remember, the goal of Action Coaching is to coach the God-given potential out of you so that you can experience your best life now. Everybody needs a coach. Nobody makes it by themselves. And so we are excited at the fact that God have given us the ability to just offer you some coaching points that you begin to practice and experience great things in God. Now on tonight, I'm going to talk about some principles of success. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to be happy, but not all people achieve these things in life because there's certain things you have to practice in order to be successful and happy. It just goes along with the principles of success. And so I thank God that I want to share some things with you, things that I've learned, things that have helped turn my life around, and things that I've seen other successful people practice. You have to understand, if you want to be successful, then learn to find out the practice and principles of successful people. You can't spend time running around with people that are not successful and they trying to give you advice. No, you need to look at people who are successful, who have achieved the things that you desire to achieve and even do better. What are their habits in life? And I trust that as we share these things with you, you will begin to practice them and be blessed in your own walk towards success. Now, the first thing I want to let you know, in order to be successful, you've got to understand how to be patient. Now, the reason we have to be patient is because you got to watch time go by. See, learning how to handle time as it goes by, it takes patience, because nothing that you do is going to be good all at once. It takes patience. Nothing that you try gonna work just cause you woke up one morning and decide to try. And even the amazing things that you dream you're going to turn into, it's going to take patience. Most people have a problem of having patience, watching time go by. When you're younger, you feel like you got a whole lot of time. When you're older, you feel like too much time has passed you by. But the issue is, did you have patience enough to handle the time that you were in? What are you doing with the time you have right here and right now? When you see somebody that's great or successful, you don't understand a whole lot of time went by before they achieved that certain goal. So patience helps us to understand that it took some time before people develop into the amazing things that you see and experience that they are now. And so you've got to learn how to handle time. Patience is difficult. I understand it. But if you don't have patience, you will never achieve success. Patience allows you to put the work in, to continue to practice the same thing, even if it takes 100 times till you get it right. To continue to go in and day out and continue to practice till you are successful. So many times I've seen people that have business, and immediately you can tell the quality of the business when you enter into the shop, because you can understand how much time they put in making their business excellent. If it's not clean, people are not organized, or certain things don't exist to make the business more attractive, you found out that they didn't have the patience to put the time in to achieve the desired result. Maybe they can do one thing well in there, but however, you want the total thing to look like it's supposed to. So you have to understand that we have to have patience. Now, patience is not a given, it is a learned event. You got to learn patience. And so many times, the reason you don't get stuff right the first time is because that way you would never learn patience. So you have to learn that it takes a lot of work before you can understand the value of patience. I remember in the ministry, so many people would say, well, you know, you have an excellent ran church and they do things in such a professional way. And even when they're saying we do things in a professional way, I'm still saying there's a whole lot of room for improvement. But just to get to the point that people are saying that it's ran in a professional way, it took a whole lot of patience. It took a whole lot of doing the same thing over and over and over again until we got it right. See, life should not be when you celebrate getting something right. Life should be where you understand you can get it right all of the time if you have the necessary patience and put in the necessary work. So patience is one mindset you have to be successful. You can't hurry up and pass certain steps because ultimately they are going to come back and bite you. Haven't you noticed that the things you spend a whole lot of time on, they reap great benefits? And the things that you spend a little time on, they don't amount to much. But the more you put in something, the better you can operate in a professional level, but you got to understand patience. Now, number 2, you got to understand persistence. A lot of times people want to be successful and they are not persistent. You have to go after your goal just as hard every single day. You got to be persistent in striving for the excellence and the thing you so desire. I can tell you, nobody becomes successful being lazy. And usually the person that's more successful is more persistent. They're persistent about every detail. They're persistent about how things should operate. They're persistent how things should be clean and how the business should be ran and the people that are in the business should operate. Now in the world, they want to call it you're nagging about everything. No, it's a difference in nagging, and then there's a whole nother difference in being persistent about how you want the best. I know people used to hate to see me coming because I was just persistent. Not persistence just because I had a personal grudge against them. I understood that if you want to have success at a high level, you've got to be persistent. Persistence gives you that get up and go. Persistence gives you that energy you need, that you can be so persistent that there are a lot of people don't even need an alarm clock to wake them up. They just immediately get up because their persistence drives them to want to get on with the day. How many times have you seen people, they'll know they're supposed to be on time, but they got all kind of excuses why they are late. But the persistent person doesn't have those excuses. The persistent person is there early and they stay late because persistence is a part of the mindset. You want to be successful in anything, you got to first have the patience, and then second of all, you've got to be persistent. You know, it takes that. It takes that. I remember when I first started the ministry. Well, I was very persistent. Wasn't no people a part of the ministry, but every day I had on the sign outside that there would be 6 o'clock prayer on Wednesday, and then there would be 11 o'clock service on Sunday, and that we had a prayer line that you could call the prayer line, which was my house phone. But I'm here to let you know, every week at 6 o'clock, I was there for the prayer. Every Sunday at 11 o'clock, I was there for the Sunday morning service. And I didn't even have anybody. And I answered the prayer line because persistence requires that you do that. The mindset you have to have if you want to be successful. Now, I don't want you to go anywhere. I'm going to be right back because I got my third point that I got to talk to you about, and you really, really, really going to enjoy this point.
Koinonia means to share together in the sense of partnership, and as sharers together of the person and the life of Christ, we are automatically co-partners in the enterprise, in God's enterprise here in the earth realm. Relationship describes, as I mentioned earlier, that we are members of a community. Partnership describes that the believers are the principles of the enterprise, of an enterprise. Now, think about a business naturally so. A business partnership is always formed in order to produce a profit for someone, in order to produce a profit for that person, and if there's a partner, the partner is expecting a profit as well. Well, the purpose of a spiritual partnership implies that we are created with the objective of glorifying God. So we are part of God's enterprise, and God wants us to glorify Him in the earth realm. We are to accomplish what God has designated for us to accomplish, and we can't do it alone. We have to come together to be able to do it.
I left off talking about persistence. You remember our first point was you got to have patience. You just can't rush anything. So you got to have patience. Great cooks help you understand that if you want a real good meal, it takes some time to prepare it. The thing about it, you cannot expect something that you order at one window and you drive around to the next window to be or taste the same as a person that have cooked it slowly over a grill and put all of the seasoning on it and those type of things. It takes time, so you got to have patience. And then second of all, persistence comes into play, because anytime anybody is exposed to you, they want to get the same type persistence all of the time. So a person has to be persistent about the little things as well as the big things. Now my third point I want to talk to you about is everything is a process. Yes, there are certain things that have to be put in and introduced even into your life, because you got to go through the process. Without the process, nothing grows. Without the process, nothing is able to develop. I had a friend when I was at college, and he was from a farming community. And occasionally I would go home with him on the weekend and spend some time with him and his family. Of course, I'm from the city, and this was the first time I got exposed to farming. And you know, to eat an apple or eat a pear or these different things, you know you enjoy them and they're tasty fruit, but until you see the process that it have to go through to grow something, I did not know. Then he introduced me to that the first thing, there's some months they have to get out and break up the ground. And you know, during that particular time, they was using it, either the tractor was doing it or they was plowing the ground. So they were breaking up the ground just to get it prepared to then come and plant seed in the ground. And then there was a time they plant seed in the ground. And after they plant seed in the ground, they had to go back and cover all of the seed with dirt in a certain way. And after they did that, then they had to water the seed, the dirt, the seed that was in the ground, and water the dirt. And that was a process. They had to make sure they pull up the weeds. And I'm sitting there looking at that, and then he begins to tell me, we're going to have some good apples about 4 months from now. Wait a minute now. I'm hungry for apples right now. And you were saying that in 4 months we'll have some good apples that we can eat and enjoy while we was in college. It helped me to understand that everything is a process. It's a process to be great. It's a process to be rich. It's a process to be known for your expertise in all of these things. Your gift have to go through a process. And it takes all of the above P's that I've talked about before you even get to the processing stage. Everything has to go through a process. Life takes you through various processes. I remember when you have a time where you're single, then life takes you through processes. Eventually you end up getting married. Marriage takes you through certain processes, and then the kids come along, and that's a whole nother process. Because here you are, you got individuals that are growing up and they getting into everything. Where you thought you had time, now the kids take all of the time, and that is a process. And then you go through the process of raising the kids, and they get grown, and all of a sudden they gone out on their own, and then you in another process. But each one of these processes didn't come quickly. You had to prepare and go through some things in order for this process to happen. So there's a process. There's a process about everything in life. And if you're not willing to go through the process, you're going to have a very difficult time at being successful. People a lot of time want to skip the process and just go on to completion. I understand. I would like to do that too. Would it be much easier if you didn't have to go 4 years in college to get a bachelor's degree, that you can go up there and pay maybe $50, $100, or even $1,000, skip the 4 years and they just give you the bachelor's degree and you go on about your business, but they are going to take you through a process. Wouldn't it be great if when you were small, and when all of us were small, we couldn't wait till we grew up so we could do our own things, but we still had to go through that process. So everything is a process, and you may be in a process right now, but you got to understand, if you're not patient, you're not persistent, and you don't go through the process, you're going to have some difficulties at achieving the success and enjoyment in life that you so desire. So I'm just simply talking that these are tools. There are hosts of many more tools that can help you on your journey. But however, these are things that if you don't learn, you're going to have to learn them at one stage or another. You know, it takes a process to have a great business. It takes a process to even have a great ministry. It takes a process to be a successful speaker of whatever craft you're in. There are things you got to go through. And yes, every one of those stages, usually you have to have somebody along with you to help coach you so that you don't skip the stages. I believe this, that if a person doesn't spend money in trying to develop themselves, they're not going to be very successful at anything. Surely the most money you spend out should be in training and developing yourself. I remember when I first wanted to achieve certain things, I would spend money in everything, whatever seminar they was having, whatever the person that had achieved a goal, I would read their book, I would go learn, Because if I didn't put any money in myself, how in the world were I going to achieve these great things? How was I going to learn about the 3 P's I just talked to you about? How was I going to learn principle? How was I going to learn persistence? And how was I going to learn that it took a process for these things to happen? So I'm excited about sharing with you. That's why we have action coaching, because we want to share with you that if you don't learn these things, it's going to be very difficult to make it. And if anybody tell you they made it without putting these processes in place, don't believe them, because they did not make it for real. But you have to apply these things to your life. So I want you to remember now, patience, because you got to handle time. Time is going by, and certain things are not going to manifest until a certain amount of time has came by. You got to be persistent. And even though time is passing by, you got to be persistent. You got to get up every day and make the most out of your time. You got to put in the necessary steps so that you're prepared when your time comes. So you got to be persistent. And then there's, of course, the process part of it, where the only way you're going to evolve into a very good product is there's some things you have to be put through. There's a process to grow. There's a process to the blessings of God. And I am so excited that I learned these 3 things, and I'm sharing them with you. Now I want to encourage you. If you got some questions about the things that I've talked to you about, then I want you to go to our social media or the links in our bio, and I want you to reach out to me and ask me questions and hear my thoughts on some things. After all, we don't have time in just one session to go over everything. But however, I would love to reach out to you and let you know my thinking on these 3 principles, or maybe some of the things that I went through as I evolved to this area. And perhaps we can take a whole program and just answer your questions, because I learned when I was in school. I had a great teacher around about the 4th grade, and one thing she used to always say, she said that the only dumb question was the unasked question. And I remember her saying that, and I found out that if you don't know, then ask. Don't consider it to be dumb, but it's your way of learning knowledge. Well, I don't want you to go anywhere. I'm going to be right back to talk to you. Welcome back. I trust that you've enjoyed action coaching on today, and certainly I have enjoyed spending some time with you. The reason we don't make action coaching as long as maybe some of the other things that we do is because we just want to give you different nuggets that you can use right away and start to practice and start to put them in action in your life. And the more you start to use them, then it'll be up to you to decide how much of an investment you need to each area so that you can continue to develop them and learn more things about the principle we share with you. We are so excited that you join us on this week, and we want you to let others know about action coaching and how it helped change your thinking, change some things in your business, and how you have achieved even bigger and better things, because we're certainly excited about sharing them with you here on Action Coaching. Now we want to encourage you to sit down and sow a generous seed faith offering for the support of Action Coaching so that we can continue reaching people all over the world with Action Coaching. There are people just like you and I who need someone to coach them. And Action Coaching is a way to reach out to them so they can begin to apply these exciting principles in their life. So there's a link in my bio that will give you an opportunity to share a generous offering with Action Coaching. And truly, we thank you for your support. And we know that the Lord will continue to richly bless you as a result of the seed you sown on today. Thank you for this time you allowed me to coach you once again. And I trust that great things are happening in your life. As I do each and every week, I want to encourage you. Share the word with a friend and keep the word in action.